Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You are listening to Seema Khan on Seema Khan Live Vlogs. This is a live broadcast from London. Welcome everyone. Assalamu alaikum everyone. How are you all? So today we are going to be discussing um, a topic which a lot of people have often asked me about, which is, can Muslims have fun? So before I start, just let me tell you the weather in London today is currently 15 degrees. It seems a lot colder because it's been raining. So we've got a bit of cold, a bit of rain, and a bit of thanks very much, Jack. Thank you. Uh, so the sound and everything's fine. Good. So welcome everyone. The weather is going to rain again about 12 o'clock. So I am now coming live at you from my living room in the Khan household. Welcome everyone. We are going to be discussing today, can Muslims have fun? Thank you for joining. Thank you, Muhammad Saeed, for joining. Wa alaikum assalam. So the reason why I've chosen this topic today is because I often get asked by both young people, um, friends and members of the family, as well as older people who struggle with this issue of to what extent and how strict Islam is in terms of enjoying this life, this dunya, this life that we've been given, and then this constant battle regarding the struggle towards making our hereafter. And so the topic of conversation today is going to be light-hearted because what we want to talk about is how Islam actually came to give people happiness and peacefulness, and what we see around society today, often amongst young people and amongst older people now, is a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of what you might call a bit of disillusionment, often sometimes with the religion itself. The reason is what I believe is, and please comment, everybody who's joining in, please comment below and let me know what you think, what your comments are. I believe that the reason why we have this concept that Muslims are not expected to enjoy life or that they're a bit dull is because our environment, often our environment that we're in is makes it look like that everything is haram. uh, that is not the case, but Shaitan is really clever. Shaitan has this way of kind of coming in and making all the haram stuff, like all the activities that you might want to do, making them all look as if they're the fun things to do. And he often has this thing of making, taking you by degrees into a society or into a situation where only that stuff is stuff that's enjoyable, and we forget um, all the halal things that Islam allows us, and all the happiness that Islam, its family environment, and the whole setup. Now, I believe, this is what I firmly believe in, is that Islam actually has given us these rules and these regulations and these things all because it actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His wisdom, He knows actually what our fitra is, what our nature is, and what our physiological drives are. And whenever we are away from our natural physiological drives, that's where we struggle. So, one thing I just wanted to read out from this excerpt in the psychological group, a psychological book, is that basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has endowed human beings with certain physiological motives or drives, primarily for the purpose of self-preservation of the individual and the human race. So all of these, excuse me, all of these drives that we have are all there inbuilt in us, and sometimes these drives can basically lead us into situations where we end up doing the haram. But the reason is that humans are actually designed basically to fulfill their needs in a particular way. Islam has come in a way to basically create parameters of being able to do things in a good way. So, for example, how many people struggle with, for example, with friendships where they, Islam encourages friendships. Islam encourages us to keep good company, to be basically keeping company of good people. But I think the struggle we have is that when we fall into path with people who perhaps might not encourage us towards the deen and encourage us towards activities that are not so good for us, then that's where we struggle. So one of the most important things that I would advise for young people and for anybody who's trying to basically create a social system is that they should keep company of people who are basically going to encourage them towards good halal activities. And in that way, just a simple activity with friends and things like that is going to be really, really enjoyable. The other thing that I get asked all the time is about how strict Islam sometimes seems. Now, this is a really, really important point because Islam looks like it's really, really strict only because of the fact that often we're in an environment where we've gotten so used to, I would say, even not just in the West. Now, I live in London, and of course, I've grown up in a society where certain things Islam would completely frown upon, but it's allowed. So we've grown up with media, with television, with schooling, with education, where we become desensitized basically to it all just seems very normal. The way people dress incorrectly, the lyrics of certain songs, the subject matter of soaps and dramas. But this is not just a problem for Muslims living in a non-Islamic country. In Pakistan, we have issues of this as well, where I've just recently seen commentary about why all the dramas in Pakistan are always about some kind of adultery or some kind of two sisters after one man or that kind of thing. Why are these topics coming up so much? Because this is the sensationalization and the desensitization of topics. But going back to the fun side of things, we are encouraged actually as Muslims to enjoy ourselves, to enjoy our recreation time, to enjoy our relaxation time, and we're advised not to actually make our religion too strict on ourselves. So, one thing that I would say to everyone who's tuning in, thank you for everyone who's tuning in, and thank you for everyone who's listening, is that if we make our religion too strict on ourselves, then what we're going to find is we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we're just going to become too strict, basically. So what I would say is there are two salient and established characteristics of the Sharia, and those characteristics are flexibility and simplicity. So these two qualities help the Muslim in his worships and dealings. So what I would say is, I'm going to quote now from the Quran, chapter 53, verse 43. And that it is He, Allah, who makes whom He wills laugh and makes whom He wills weep. The Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, would both laugh and joke, but he would speak nothing but the truth. He ran races against Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, and he explicitly forbade affectation, artificiality, and rigidity. He, peace be upon him, informed us that when a person makes a religion too stringent and harsh, it will overwhelm him. In another hadith, we are informed that the religion is solid and that we should delve into it gently. We are also informed that every worshipper has a level of vitality and that a person who is too harsh will inevitably and eventually snap. So this is an important point. Ladies and gentlemen who are listening and tuning in today, if you make the religion too harsh on yourself, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you don't look at the positive aspects of how Islam encourages recreation, encourages to connect with nature. Islam actually, I mean, I get asked about this all the time, but what activities can we do? This is what I get asked about. Well, we're allowed to go and visit different countries, we're allowed to go on holidays, we can explore nature. We should appreciate nature. Islam encourages us to appreciate nature. This is why I'm always out in my garden, especially in lockdown. I've had more time to appreciate these nemte that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And in appreciating this nature, enjoying the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, we can basically not only enjoy ourselves, relax, we can also find ourselves in a situation where we appreciate and understand the nemte, and we can understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through this, but we also enjoy, we can go to parks, we can go and feed the ducks, there's so many activities that can be done, but I think the main thing is, who are you doing these activities with? Family, friends that encourage you towards good. This is the way to go. This is the way to encourage yourselves, and stay away from people who generally encourage you to go towards those activities that are basically encouraging you towards haram type of what we would call societal issues, basically. So obviously clubbing and that kind of thing is completely out, but also those kind of activities where it's encouraged that you're out late or that you're not dressing appropriately, all of those activities need to be not encouraged. But we should encourage our children for definite, that we should be doing activities and holidays and visiting Allah's vast earth if we can and we can afford to, and if we can't, we should go wherever we can in the country that we're in, but we should be out and about. And I know this is really difficult in lockdown at the moment, but you can see that in lockdown, this is one of the big issues that people had. They weren't able to connect with nature, they weren't able to connect with people. We were very social. So what I would say is, the reason why people kind of sometimes go away from the religion and, oh, this is too harsh, like everything is just so haram, and they kind of give up. I have spoken to people who often feel like that. They say the person snaps because he only looks at present circumstances and is blind to the different situations that he might find himself to be in at a future time. He forgets about the long-term effects of his attitude and about the boredom caused by over-rigidity. So that's when you're being a bit too strict and you kind of forget what you were saying here. So who are the wise people that kind of know what they need to do with getting on in life? Well, the wiser is he who has a minimum level of deeds that he performs continually, no matter what the circumstance. You've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot from my parents. Thoda karo, acha karo, do like, a decent amount that you regularly do rather than just do so much one day and then find yourself in a situation where you can't keep up. So, yeah, wiser is he who has a minimum level of deeds that he performs continually, no matter what the circumstances. If he happens to be more enthusiastic on any given day, so that does happen. I mean, you find, especially in Ramzan, you're a lot more enthusiastic. He does more. But if he weakens, he at least still performs those deeds that are part of his daily routine. So perhaps this is the meaning of the saying that is attributed to some of the companions. And I love this. This is all about, this little quote is so lovely from one of the Sahaba. It's about our iman and how we struggle with it, but it's beautiful the way it's expressed. I'm just going to read this to you. The soul comes forth at times and draws back at other times. Take advantage of the times that it draws forth and leave it alone when it draws back. Assalamu alaikum, Fiza Ali, who's now joined and is watching, and Assalamu alaikum, Yunus Khan Patan. Thank you, everybody who's joining and watching. Please give me your comments below. What do you think? Can Muslims have fun? Well, they certainly do have fun. How can they have fun? What's the best way for Muslims to encourage each other to enjoy life, but at the same time keep their deen intact? I have seen many people who had good intentions when they performed an inordinate amount of voluntary prayers. Like, so people who do so many namazi, but then what happens is they go to extremes in their application of the religion. They suddenly become, somebody who's like constantly giving a khutbah, constantly. I've been in a situation where I do that sometimes, and my family's like, right, that's enough now, Seema. But they're constantly going too extreme in their application of the religion, and what happens then? Well, eventually what happens is that they are Walaikum Salam, Yunus Khan Bhutan, thank you for joining in. So eventually what happens is they return to a weaker state. So they become weak. So when you go too extreme in the deen and become so rigid, you can't do this, you can't do that, you just have this, then it makes it harder for them. They don't get that sense of enthusiasm that they experience. So what's best is to get really good and very, very good at the smaller things that you do, and then keep building upon it as you do, like when you're younger, when you're building upon learning. So I think what happens is, one key thing that I have found that a lot of viewers actually and a lot of people have said to me is that there's a lot of unhappiness in the world, and especially Islam is portrayed in such a way in the Western media as if all their women are oppressed and all their men are depressed and you're not allowed to do anything. That is completely false. As you have seen me, I have been on live, coming on live all throughout Ramadan. We have been spiritual. We have cooked, we have fried, we have played, we have done everything. We played charades, we played board games, we've had the kids camping on our floor, we've had discussions about Islam, we've had jokes, we've had everything. Muslims can have fun, Muslims should have fun, and they are very much portrayed in the media as people who are very dry and very boring, which is completely not true. And I think that sometimes we as Muslims take this on us as if this is true. I don't think this is true. And I really want to quote you this ayah from the Quran, chapter 20, verse 2. I love this ayah because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He's speaking to us and He is saying, we have not sent down the Quran unto you, O Muhammad, to cause you distress. How beautiful is that? Allah basically reproached those who overtax themselves, those that do more than they're capable of. Everybody needs to remember that everybody is very unique and every worshipper has their own level of vitality at different times of the day, at different times in their life. And you know what happened with those people? They basically just withdrew themselves from the real world and they ended up reneging on previous made commitments. So we do not believe in the monks of Christianity. We do not believe in being nuns. We understand our physiological drives, which I'm just going to move on to in a minute. And we get married, we have children, we enjoy our life, we eat, we play, we do everything, but we also choose Islam as a way of life. Why is Islam actually going to help us to have more fun? Well, when you leave all the city life and all the drives, well, Islam actually is absolutely brilliant because it distinguishes itself from other religions actually by being moderate. The whole thing in the media that's portrayed about Islam being so strict, Islam is actually very moderate. It is so easy to follow. Why is it so easy to follow? Well, Islam cares for the soul, it cares for the body, and it caters for this life and the hereafter. And it all encompasses everything that we need, everything that's innately natural to us, everything that we innately need is in Quran chapter 9, verse 36. That is the right religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, you are in the right place, friends, family, young people, viewers, everybody who is watching. You have been blessed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose you to write your name, that so and so, I can say Muhammad Saeed, Yunus Khan Patan, so and so, you will be born Muslim. You are blessed into the right religion. And think about it. We are all being blessed by the fact that we're Muslim, and everything that we know that Allah tells us to do in the Quran Sharif, we know that that's right for us, that's going to suit our bodies, so we can follow it, knowing that we've been taken care of. So I just want to finally end. If anybody's got any comments, please do comment. But I just want to end on what it is that is causing the struggle. And this is the fact that we need to understand that humans cannot, we have these physiological drives, and the body basically, it gets hungry, it gets thirsty, it gets tired, it gets hot, it has cold, or it has pain. So the body is designed basically to be in what's called a state of homeostasis, which is another word for basically balance, right? So Islam is all about balance, and we need to be optimally functioning. How do we do this? Well, our balance get disturbed, and this is where the disturbances are happening in society because of the environment. The balance gets disturbed in any way, and then we'll have some kind of need. So, you know, if a woman is hungry, she will look for food. If she will prepare it and eat it, when returning back to the state of balance, then she will no longer feel that need, and the drive will be reduced. So we've got to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in his wisdom, he put these physiological drives in us, and I'm going to do a whole session on all the different physiological drives and how we have to satisfy them in an acceptable, lawful manner in accordance with the Sharia. So the only thing that we need to think about is that we have these drives. We have to understand what these physiological, emotional drives are. And all we need to know is that we just cannot satisfy them in a manner which is not lawful against the Sharia. So we should do these submissively in gratitude to Allah for the favours that He's provided us. And we should be reminded, one final reminder before I let you all go. Adam alayhi salam was reminded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to avoid following Satan, because he would lead him to be driven out of paradise, where he was free from these needs. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Quran chapter 20, verses 117 to 119. So we said, O Adam, indeed this is an enemy to you and to your wife. Then let him not remove you from paradise, so you would suffer. Indeed, it is promised for you not to be hungry therein, or be unclothed, and indeed you will not be thirsty therein, or be hot from the sun. So don't forget, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, Sadiq Warsi, who's watching. Don't forget, everyone, that the reason why we are here is so that we lawfully fulfill our physiological desires. We should enjoy all the ni'mati and all the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. We should never get depressed or upset, basically, because a believer's affairs are always good. We should never get disillusioned with the religion itself, because we are 100% sure that Allah ta'ala has chosen the right religion for us. And we should follow it knowing that it's good for us. And where we feel that we are not having fun, we should always look to the halal areas that we're allowed to do, and do not be too strict on ourselves in terms of becoming extreme in our deen, because our deen was sent to give us peace and to give us happiness, not to cause us upset or any kind of distress, which I've just covered. So I'm going to leave you today with the fact that Allah has made the fulfillment of all our physiological drives in a pleasurable way in order to facilitate our behavior. In the hereafter, inshallah, we're all heading towards Jannah. And I do dua for all of us. In the hereafter, people will eat, they will drink, and they will wear clothes, but this will not be to fulfill needs. So when I do the session on Jannah, which is going to be a really, really good one, you will know that when we're in Jannah, we'll be engaging in all these behaviors as an enjoyment, as a part of reward of Allah that He's promised us. But during our time on earth, we should experience all of these needs in various degrees in accordance in the way that Allah has told us. So the best advice I can give, one of the scholars, one of the best advices that he gave, Assalamu alaikum Seema auntie who's watching, I'm just about to finish up now. One of the best advice that I can give you is that one of the scholars says, I think it was Imam Ali, he said, divide your day into 4 and 1/4 of the day should be devoted to recreation, relaxation, socialization, and entertainment in the best and halal way possible to relax yourself and your mind. And everything else should be built around the 5 namazi. And the other thing that I would leave you all with is that we should all understand that we are all individuals and we're all unique, and this is our test. To get through dunya is the only way. So we shouldn't be disparaging dunya. We should be tackling all the challenges that have been coming to us from dunya, because this is the only way that we're going to get to Jannah, inshallah. And inshallah, we will all meet in Jannatul Firdaus. That's my dua for you. And all of a nice cup of Jannah tea, and we will all be relaxed and all meet together. Thank you, everybody who has been joining in today and has listened to me. You have been listening to Seema Khan on Seema Khan Life Vlogs. This was a live broadcast from London, and I really, really enjoyed it. I am not sat in the garden today. I'm coming at you live today from my living room, and I just want to say that it's lovely, everybody who's joined in. Please pop down your comments below if you've got any questions, if you've got anything that you want to ask about this topic. I'll be happy to reply to you. Just pop your comments down at the end of the post. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Fi amanallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.